I love that. That's beautiful. They had 8 children and a Great Dane, and they couldn't afford any of them. They used to come in the morning and say, "You going to take my picture, lady?" And I said, "I sure am." I call this the Botticelli girl. She was a real find. And this is the Lower North, which ran 8 city blocks and had the most abundant kind of activities and energy and humor that I ever experienced. And this was on the streets in the surround. And they were all cheeky. And these were smart asses, all of them, but there was something wonderful about them, too. That's what I call future humorist, or maniacs, one of the two. And this is in a big market in Chicago. And I thought these were just absolutely incredible. And one agency here bought a big one of that. And she was, either she was angry or astounded or just ecstatic. It's just hard to tell. And this one looks like she could be trouble for some, for some adoring admirer. They were wonderful faces and beautiful people. Here's another one, but he's mad at the world. And he's not going to get over it all that quickly. You don't get such determination easy. And this is the the Lower North Ballet. And they were all having a ball. So it didn't matter whether some of the steps weren't correct. They couldn't care less. And this is the future soldiers in the American Army. And that shows how eager or how averse they were to go into war. And he was just beautiful. He won a prize. And I think he still was trying to figure out why. It was a penthouse. They had 2 floors. And it was quite a marvelous place for just frivolity and enjoying yourself. You can see Michigan Avenue below, down there, which is the big boulevard in Chicago. And this was one of their very lavish food serves, and the chefs were Puerto Rican, so the food was excellent. And this one you probably recognize from the age. This woman was absolutely polluted with champagne. And she couldn't care less. And here was a woman that used to visit Australia. And when I first came out here, she said, "Oh, you must go and meet some oil millionaire that was living here." Well, I never got to see him. Somewhere in the interim, I just lost the contact. There she is again. And she was absolutely, she was sort of loca, but in a wonderful way. This is part of Ramsey Lewis trio that I did a lot of publicity for. And this was the bass player, L.D. Young. And he was very good. And this is a black singer that was just quite beautiful, and she sang bluesy songs, Kiki. Well, I forget the last name, but it was Kiki something or other. And there's Ramsey Lewis, because he studied classical piano, and he had this trio that he became quite popular with jazz enthusiasts, and he could actually play, and he could read music. I remember I went to a concert where he played Brahms' second piano concerto. It So I was duly impressed. And I won a prize in Chicago with this guy. And he'd go out with me, and we'd spend all night looking for good backgrounds and stuff. And that's my youngest brother. He probably doesn't look like that now as much, but he got his teeth knocked out in Tijuana during the Second World War because he was in the Marines, and the first time he got into a real bad scene, they knocked his 2 front teeth out. This is when I got a one-way ticket to Australia. And that's me in Hawaii. Oh, I had a ball in Hawaii. I spent all my money. I came into the country at $5 American. And that's Bruce Petty. Whoever can remember what Bruce Petty looked like at that time. And I spent a weekend with he and a Chinese artist and a British girl. And guess who that is? Peter Carey. Yes, that's right. Peter Carey. I shot his first wedding up in, I think it was up in Gippsland. And that, of course, is the Gardens. And I just loved that shot. I did this for a publishing company. And they wanted to see an ethnic group, the way people spend their Sundays. This was for Kodak. And these 2 children were so good. I couldn't believe it. That's near the Yarra, and the non-polluted atmosphere of the Yarra area there. And this was for a newspaper here, and the father is the trainer and of the elephants, and that's his little son. And you know who that is? Tommy Hanlon. With a sort of clown face, and I don't know whether he was happy or not. And that was early in the piece when I took that one. He didn't lose any teeth at that particular point, but I thought it was a great entrance. And I like night shooting, so I did one of the city which the government used to send overseas because it made everything look terrific here. He was good, this guy, because he sang and played the guitar. And I would say that he was a gypsy. And I like that just simply because I just like it. There's something very graceful and that's another Olay. Muy bien. I go higher and higher. That was a wonderful woman that I met that played guitar and castanets, and she was just a very funny and clever Australian girl that had Chinese blood, so she looked a little bit Spanish somehow. This maybe this was an indication of future divorce. I'm quite sure that they finally got divorced. I think he took off with one of the dancers from another troupe. But there they are. And I love the character of the hands in this, with the scarf around his neck. And she was stubborn enough to give him a hard time. And I just thought they were terrific. They made me laugh. And this was in Echuca at a rodeo, where they had Aborigines riding some of these horses. And I thought the country people just, yeah, you can see what really intrigued me. I was fascinated by rear ends in those days. So, and that was a Melbourne Cup, this one. And I just loved that. And the little girl couldn't give us stuff, you know. And this is Flinders Street. This was an early shot that I took because I really loved hands. You know, you see the two guys in the back having a big, actually they were arguing with each other. And this woman, she just gave this old guy who was half drunk a real hard time. Victoria Market. And this is stuff that this was a big poster I did for the Brotherhood. That would be in, the late 60s. The old guys playing cards inside the, you know, and I thought they were beautiful. And this is all with available light. This is shot with available, because I didn't use any flash or anything. So, and there she was a woman, I think it was on a day when they had some special dinner or something. And so she was absolutely ecstatic. She didn't think she was going to get that good a meal. And he wasn't very happy about the whole thing. But I liked the backlight on him, and he certainly had a face full of all kinds of feeling and either torment or. And the children enjoyed themselves in that place because they gave them a kind of freedom. That's Helen Jackson. She used to be with 3AW. And she's working in films and theater in Sydney now. And this was a wonderful model. She was from Tasmania, and she finally married a farmer, and I never understood why. And this is Libby Tanner. She's in films and on video, and she's on television now. And she showed. There she is again. And you couldn't miss the kind of personality that she had. She just made everything light up or otherwise. And this is a very good musician that I know, who's very hard to find these days. He taught my son for a while. He taught the guitar and he's very photogenic. He looks like something from Basin Street, you know, and like one of the old blues personalities. And he knows he knows that he's very photogenic. And here's a real Australian thinking, now why have I been drinking this beer all these years, and why don't I feel happier about the whole thing? And there is Joe Dolce. That's the guitarist, and we went early one morning to take some publicity, and that's the kind of stuff we got. And this is Dickens, and that play was a riot. It really was. Barry Dickens or something like that. Yeah. And this is another one called Elegant. And the stuff I did for this is really unusual, I can tell you. And I really got lucky with this woman and her daughter. And this was another, Wendy Joseph. She was the one that directed this. This was a one-woman play. That was another one I did. That was in color. And that's the girl who plays Stranger. So there she is. She's still, you know, she's still wondering how she survived. And been a long time. Hooray. Thank you for the music, Troubadour.